Hello, folks.
Hi there.
It's another episode of Würfel Cast.
It is.
Not Wednesday Whimsy,
Nope, not
not
Wednesday,
Kyle's
Wednesday.
top 100. So
Sadly.
it's been a while. It's been a while
It's a
since
little while.
since we had a usual episode. Last time it was, I think, something like Board Game Mummies or something like that.
That was in October. Yep, that's right.
That was so long time ago
That you've
that
forgotten.
we became mummies. Okay, no,
Oh, okay.
I'm trying, still trying.
Yeah, you don't need to. It's really okay. Um,
I want to. I want to. Anyway, today's episode is sponsored by nobody, so let's not introduce any sponsors. But
okay.
we do have a topic of the day, which is top 5 IP games or IP
That's
based
true.
games. You can say that as well. And um, lately there's been a boom of IP games. It seems like this uh, this market has expanded, and this market has gone, you know, has done well, and has gone forward into the right direction, trying to
Mm-hmm.
still make games like not just slapping on theme, but trying to make good games that connect to the original stories or original whatever they are. So
Mm-hmm.
themes.
That's right.
But before we go to board game section of the show, we still have a small section called Watchers Babble to to talk about things we've been watching
Mm-hmm.
briefly. So Kyle, why don't you
Briefly.
start? Yeah, and tell me what you've been watching.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I've been watching lately. It's not much. I'm waiting until my flight to catch up on Invincible, but I have not watched the new season yet, so I can't talk about that one. Instead, I can talk about what I have been watching, which is the exciting, amazing, thrilling Drag Race Germany. Um, so
So, uh, yeah,
Drag Race Germany is the same as regular Drag Race. It's just it's in German. so
oh,
the differences are, I guess I would say. So this is one of three that were filmed at this special studio they have in Colombia. So it's kind of odd, right? Because the stage and main workroom are exactly the same as Drag Race Mexico and Drag Race Brazil. So there's kind of that's a little bit odd. It's like, oh, this feels familiar. Also, I don't know why, but it appears that whatever, so they've got the main host who's a German drag queen, and they've got some other German-ish guy who's some sort of fashiony person, and then there's this woman, and they picked an American woman who doesn't speak any German. Well, she speaks a couple of words. She'll
mhm.
say, "Yeah, mein heart is beating for you," or something, or something like that. It's really almost painful to watch her, uh, just because she's very clearly very uncomfortable, and she really thinks that she can speak German, and she really can't. Other than that, it's just like a regular drag race. I'm enjoying it. I just am a little bit puzzled by how they selected the hosts, and couldn't they have found one person in Germany who could speak German and and help with and fill that role? But other than that, it's been a fun season. I think the finale is coming next week or the week after, so it's just more drag race, right? It's not going to move the needle one way or the other, but that's what I've been watching.
Yeah, you've been watching every episode of Beautiful Cast lately. I think last time we talked about Drag Race, and the time before we talked about Drag Race. I think.
Well, last time I did not, but the time before I probably did, because but that's what I'm watching. So if
True.
that's what I'm
All right.
watching,
All right.
well, I mean, I'm not going to make something up and lie. Uh,
Why not? Anyway,
okay.
yeah.
I've been watching something very different than that.
Yeah, I've been watching. So mm, basically, sometimes I do like, and I know it's a weird fashion, but everybody does that. Sometimes I do like to watch playthroughs of video games, certain video games.
Okay, you
Usually,
can't make
it's
fun of Drag Race then. Uh,
yeah, it's millions of people watch. No, the thing is, with some of the video games, I just don't have enough. Let's say courage to play them from like horror games. It's like I do like horror movies, but when it's horror games, I feel much more stressed, and so I cannot really. I can, but I don't want to get stressed while playing a video game. I want to feel epic, etc. So I play more like fantasy games. But with
hmm
horror games, I sometimes want to watch playthroughs of certain individuals who put them on YouTube because they play well. They cut the videos down to a more condensed experience and so on. It's like, and there's a story. I like to look at the video game stories, etc. So there is a new video game that came out which is like investigative, but it also like it's a horror type game. It's
hmm
Alan Wake 2. So it's been
Oh,
it came out lately, and it seems to have been a blast for many people because it has so cool things going on in there. So I played Alan Wake 1 long time ago. The first Alan Wake came out, I don't know how many years ago, many, many, many years ago. And the whole premise is there is a writer who's kind of like a fiction becomes a reality kind of thing, and there's that dark place and darkness and people getting overwhelmed with darkness, and then you can kind of hurt them with the flashlight, you can hurt them with the light, and then there was like the whole, I don't remember the whole thing about Alan Wake 1, but there's
hmm
like a story moment. It's really interesting game. Now the first game had its problems. Now the second game, they postponed it for many many years, and then they came back with Alan Wake 2. And I'm looking at that, and there's like now you can play as two different characters. You can at some point switch between them. It's like non-linear. It's like the story comes all together, and there's investigative part. Like she's the FBI detective. She's investigating. She has this clue board. She puts the clues out. Anyway, it's a really cool video game. So I'm watching that, and there's one particular scene. So there is a not much of a spoiler. So when you play as Alan Wake himself, so the original character, because you can switch
hmm
between the two characters, there is a musical chapter or a musical scene or
Oh,
something like that, and you should definitely there is somebody who made a perfect cut of the whole musical chapter. Like it's
I
it's
see.
maybe like 15 to 20 minutes, but you just I will give you the link later because
Okay.
you want to watch it. It has this kind of a old rock thing. I don't know. It's just cool how they made it into the game, and it's one of the highlights of the game. Kind of a this whole world is very rich. Anyway, yeah. Sometimes I'm too stressed to play the game, so I watch it, but not something like was Elden Ring or Bloodborne. Or something. All of these games, like it's boring to watch because it's like it's all about your skill, and how to fight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of a I'm watching more of a story based
Mm.
horrorish video game playthroughs.
So
No,
more like Lies of P.
yeah.
No, no.
Okay, okay. No, yeah, that's what I sometimes watch. It's
Okay.
sometimes I have this kind of weird obsession with
Yeah, so no making
not
fun
playing
of me for
watching.
watching Drag Race. Um,
I mean, I mean, I'm not sure how many millions of people watch Drag Race Germany. Anyway,
I don't know how many either.
all right. Let's get to the the board game section of this podcast, Vidcast, and its recent plays. And Kyle, why don't you start some about your
Alrighty.
amazing game?
So the game I'm going to talk about is a game that I just played yesterday for the first time.
Hmm.
It is a game. The title of the game might make you think that it's about defecating, but it's actually called. The game is called Evacuation,
Mm,
and it has nothing to do with defecation. It it just it's
okay,
about so this is
sure.
some world is dead. It's that world over on the far left of the screen is dead, and there's a new world you've found, and the goal is, or at least for the way you'll get points in the game or win the game, is by taking stuff from your old world and moving it to the new world, and or building stuff on the new world just directly. And
Yeah.
it follows a pattern that's been in other games, like the one I think of as Panamax, where you have kind of your own, you have sort of two pools of money. In this game, you have sort of two different sets of stuff. You've got the stuff that's on the old world, and you've got the stuff that's on the new world. And so you can only use stuff on the old world, and you can only use stuff on the new world on the new world, surprisingly. So each of the worlds will produce its resources separately. Now you can buy spaceships and send stuff from the old world to the new world. That costs energy. It's expensive to do, but it's something you need to do. You can also, build infrastructure on the new world. And each turn, you're going to take an action, and there's this little bar. And the first couple actions are free. And then as you take successive actions, they'll cost you 1 energy, 2 energy, or 3 energy. And it just keeps going at 3. And you can take as many actions as you want, but you can only take the ones you can pay for. You also have, depending on which version, there's the boring base version, and then there's the advanced version, where you also have a deck of action cards that you can play. So you can play either the card for its action, or you can do one of the pre-printed actions on the board. And you're going to play normally 4 rounds. And I actually think that's probably the way to play. There's 2 modes of the game. There's the race mode, where you try to be the person who first gets all of your resource production above 8, and then also has 3 stadiums, because that's of course what you have to build when you're settling a new planet. The first thing to think of is a stadium. Um, and as soon
Okay.
as you have that, you'll trigger the end game like immediately, and then everybody else has kind of one more turn. And then you see who you sort of take some penalties for some things and see if you still meet the victory conditions. And if you do, you win. And if not, you look at what your lowest resource is. That's not the way to go. The other way is you play 4 rounds and you score points for a variety of things, such as having completed these various goals. You have gold cards as well, and that's going to be the better way to play. But that's kind of it. I'm not quite
Okay.
sure. I'm not sure that I know what I think about the game yet. I think I need to play it a few more times. I enjoyed it. The first time, I wasn't entirely sure I had done everything correctly, though. So I need to go back with sort of having slept on it and looked up a few more things and reread some rules to sort of make sure that everything settles in appropriately, because there's a lot of areas. It seems like it's a more fragile game than some of the other ones from this publisher, in that it's just easier to do something wrong accidentally than, for example, Underwater Cities, where everything's very clear. This one, everything is clear-ish. So
Hmm.
also it's a very long board, but I enjoyed it. My overall reaction is positive. I just don't know where it's going to fall within the category of games by Vladimir Sushi, because I haven't played it enough yet.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it sounds a bit more complicated and yeah, a lot to take in. It seems so though I'm still interested in it.
A lot to
And
take in a game about evacuation.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Gotcha. But uh, I don't know how much resemblance. So it does it have any resemblance to Underwater Cities? Does it have
No,
any mechanisms? No.
no. I mean, if you're using the action cards, I guess because you're playing a card each turn. But honestly, this is a game that does not feel like anything else that he's done that I've played, which I like, right? Because all of his games kind of feel different. It's much more thematic than Pulsar, which is, I think, probably his least thematic game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so this one, it really, in Pulsar, remember, you're just kind of doing stuff to get points, which is great, but it really has no
Sure.
theme. This one, you really are trying to do these things. You're trying to take these things off of one area and move them to the other, and the process of doing so is complicated. Uh,
All right.
but
All right.
so I think it's more thematic than some of his other games. But and it's good. I don't think it's terrible. It's just it does not feel. If you're going in for Underwater Cities, you'll be disappointed
Got it. Okay.
because it's a different game.
All right. All right. Cool. Cool. I'll try it. Um, mine. My pick for today is the game you've already played, and I also played recently now. And yeah, I'm also not sure what to think about it completely, but I'm positive about it. That's Expeditions.
Okay.
So I played with two other players who were not the fans of it. They had some problems with this game,
Mm-hmm.
which I did not. So matter of taste, I think. It's like they were nitpicking, on the game, but whatever.
Hmm.
So this game is in Scythe universe, but forget that. Just think about it has the same art as Scythe. If
Okay.
it's like Scythe universe, I cannot really relate to the theme. I cannot really say that it's like it does not feel like Scythe. It does not feel like Scythe theme at all. To be honest,
No.
it's not. It's not as thematic. Now, this game is all about building your engine of cards, and from that on, you're moving around the board. You are activating the board actions. You are using the cards in the best way possible to you getting workers so you can activate those cards. You're trying to find those combos, and then you meld and then or smelled or whatever. I remember like all of these weird iconography
Terms.
things. Yeah, terms. Yeah, this is the game where he wanted to put in the special terminology in order to make the game probably more thematic. But really, I, at some point, I
Yeah.
understand why it's done. But on the other hand, no, just don't. Let the players, kind of create the theme in their head. Sometimes you
Hmm.
don't need those extra things because it confuses. We got through this. We got through this. We understood the terminology. Eventually, it's like, oh, I do the quest. I put the card down. I put the card to the right side. Whatever, like when you smell, when you whatever you do there, melt meteorites, whatever, or you know remember resolve something. Anyway, you just put cards into different sides of your planchette of your player board, so they become kind of extra icons, extra money, extra whatever. You cannot play them anymore. All of this stuff. You're trying to get the quests because the main thing is you're trying to get you're trying to get your stars onto this. I don't know if I can find it, but anyway, there's a star track there,
Yeah.
which is like the goals, different goals. So you uh, have to collect like let's say seven. exploration tokens. You want to get 10 workers. You want to do 4 quests, 4 meteorites, whatever. It's like the different, main conditions. You're trying to do those conditions, but now what's different from Scythe is that instead of you just putting down a star, it's the same as in Scythe. You're putting down the star, but now you cannot just simply say, "Oh, I have melded 4 meteorites. I've done the goal. I can put the star on," which I like now. It's like now you have to go to that specific action that says you can. I don't remember what it is. Resolve, whatever, some kind of terminology that you can put a star, and it's a particular action that you can put the star down. So you cannot really, just at some point like, bah, 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 I put the 4 stars down. I finished the game. So all of that, and then yeah, those stars correlate to the quests you do, so you can get more points or money per stars because you win by having the most money, and money is basically points. And yeah, so you're moving around the board. You're trying to move as efficiently as possible, trying to find the right spots, combos. You discover locations, but all of the locations are on the board. I mean, all of these tiles. If you want to, you can discover them all. It's like each new game, you will probably see, not probably, you will see the same things on those tiles. And for some people, it's negative. They're like, ooh, I want to discover more different things. For me, I think it's a wise choice for the particular reason, because then it's balanced. When you do exploration, you have to do it wisely, because otherwise you can make an imbalanced game through the exploration. Because sometimes if there would have been like half the tiles in the game and half the tiles in the box, and next time you have the different, combination of those tiles, probably some of those tile combos will be less interesting, less balanced than the other combo of those tiles. So having all of them out there, it's an efficiency puzzle. It's an engine building game. Having all of them out there, I know exactly what is there and how can I build up my strategy. Though there's tactical decisions as well. Anyway, yeah, all of these stuff. It's abstractish, and like there's not much theme, and you do the action to like, so some of the tiles when you reveal them, they have those corruption tokens. You want to get rid of those corruption tokens as well. I feel like getting rid of corruption is not as benefit. I mean, like, I would have loved to get more out of that by getting rid of corruption. Maybe more money or more something extra. I felt like it was a weak action, in my opinion. Getting the cards from the center of the table, that's cool. I like that. Anyway, this is the game that I feel is hard to describe using just words. You have to show it, you have to just teach it, you have to play it. It's yeah. I
Okay.
really enjoyed the game because
I'm glad.
I was always like, ooh, I can do this combo now, or I was like, at the end of the game, I was like one action short of doing really well. And I didn't do well, but I tried different stuff. I like,
Sure.
okay, like the first game was like, I'm gonna just go exploring and see what happens. It's like, yeah, the very first game. Anyway, it can be a little bit it's a little bit confusing game in the beginning, but then as you go through it, the second half of the game, like, oh, it clicks. And also, I like the one of the best things this game has is the action selection, where like at the beginning of the game you can do all 3 actions, and you have to do all the actions that's available to you, like move, I don't know, do the action and play a card. I don't remember exactly what.
Hmm.
Play,
Gather.
move, and gather. Okay, yeah. So, but then you have to this cube, this small cube that you move between those actions, and then one of the actions will be locked out for the next turn. You can only do 2 of them. And if you do
Hmm.
gather, and if you lock out gather this time, the next time you will definitely do the gather, because you have to always move the cube to another action to lock it out. It's a little bit like Scythe, where with Scythe you cannot do the same action twice, except if you have
Yeah.
a special power of, I think, the Russian power. Uh, yeah, but anyway, uh, it's a really cool game, but um, I feel like some people will go in it expecting something different, because I would not have put the Scythe sequel on the box. I
Yep,
would have
I agree
not.
with that.
I
Hmm.
was Scythe Universe, let's say.
Hmm.
Expeditions, Scythe Universe. Fine. Scythe sequel, no.
Very well. Yeah, I enjoyed this game. I definitely won for a lower player count. If all that more people add is
Hmm.
time and frustration. Um,
Yeah, I played only once, and as a 3-player game, and it was totally fine.
Three is okay. Three is okay. When you get into four, everything ends up being blocked. And at five, I would just choose something else. Um,
Yeah, I feel this is the game, like, I'm gonna, like, this is not the amazing experience, but I really enjoyed it, and I can see a lot of potential, and I'm sure there will be expansions. And I'm
I,
sure that these expansions will probably add enough to the game. Like with Scythe. Scythe was never one of my top games when, like, without the Rise of Fenris. When the Rise of Fenris came out, I'm like, okay, this is it. They made the Scythe the way I wanted it to be.
hmm,
Boom. I feel the same can be done here. I feel like they totally can expand exploration. They can expand on what these exploration tokens do. They can expand on corruption. And they can expand on so many things here. Make it more complicated. Okay, yeah, whatever. But then give me a lot more back from this complication. Yeah, why not? I'm
okay.
feeling positive. All right.
Well, I've been able to resist no expansions from that company so far, so I'm sure I'll buy them if they come out.
You buy what?
I know, I
You
know.
never buy
So,
games. Um,
not anymore. I've stopped.
how many minutes ago did you stop?
Well, it's not important. We should
Yeah.
move on.
Okay. Let's move on to the next topic, which is crowdfunding, and we talk about games that are on whatever crowdfunding platform you want to use.
Hmm.
And Kyle, tell me about your platform and your pick.
Okay. So I am talking today about a game that has showed up on GameFound recently.
Wow, you've
This
switched.
game. Well, I'm. This is a game that let's see if it shows up right there. It might be one down. I think I saw it when. Yep, there you go, right there on the left. That is Perseverance,
That's what
Castaway
I thought.
Chronicles,
Hmm.
numbers 3 and 4. So Perseverance is a fantastic game. Well, the first version has two different, essentially, games in it. They use some of the same components, but are different experiences entirely. The
Hmm.
first one,
Hmm.
you wash ashore onto this island, and oh no, there are dinosaurs. And so,
Really?
excuse me, you have to build your defenses, build up your sort of city that is safe from dinosaur invasions, and also deal with other things that are happening. Keeping things going the way you want them to. And then in the second one, now that you've had that city built up, you're going out and you're exploring the land of this sort of inner part of the island, trying to find newer and better things. And so there's a nice exploration aspect to it. Both are really solid games. It's Mind Clash, and so that means the games are going to be a little on the complicated side, and they definitely are. But I enjoy them both. I found them a little easier to process than some of their other games, which is good. But there's definitely, it takes some work. You got to want to. Um, and they had initially called it chapters 1 and 2, which of course led me to wonder if there would be a chapters 3 and 4. And surprise, surprise, now there are. I'm assuming this will be kind of more of the same, just again, different games. It looks like you're riding on dinosaurs this time, which
Taming
you
and
weren't
writing.
doing. You weren't doing it in the first one. Um,
Ooh, ooh,
and
they
yeah,
fight.
we've tamed them. We're going to use them to defeat
Oof,
others,
what a
wild
challenge.
dinosaurs. And yeah, it's going to be. There's a new assembly system.
Of
I'm
course.
excited for it. So the game is, you do use dice, as you can kind of see in the first two as well, and you use those kind of as part of your action selection. And so it looks like we're doing new and different things. It's going to be a big box again. The other box is quite big. You can buy, if you already have the first stuff, you can buy a set that's just the new things, but then you have to use pieces from the older set in order to play the game. And I didn't want to do that. So I'm just buying the new set as a new set so that it can be standalone. Because what if it's amazing or terrible? Um, the solo mode for the first two versions was really good. It's a fantastic solo mode. So I'm also looking forward to trying that. I see we have our friends, the dissenters from that were also in the prior solo mode. So anyway, this one is one that has a bit of history and one that I'm very excited for.
Okay, so yeah, it's a lot. It costs $10,000 per piece.
No,
No,
it
I'm
doesn't.
kidding, but it costs a lot. So it's a lot of money.
It's not a cheap game, and it
It
might not
shows.
be. It might not be for everyone. This is one. If you could try the first one before you bought this, that would probably be recommended. Um, just because this is a large, expensive game that might be too complicated for some people. I mean, you might just, I mean, no, I'm not saying people are dumb. I just mean this might be too much game to be enjoyable.
Pledges for you if you already own this. You do not own anything of this, but you own this and you own that. Oh my god, it's so
Actually, I really like that.
complicated.
Oh no, I thought that was excellent because sometimes you don't know which one to buy, um,
Yeah.
and
Anyway,
so yeah, I like the way that that was handled. But yeah,
empty shared component. Okay, so yeah, I do want to try the perseverance. I mean, the first and second episodes. This one looks like a lot of fun, but you know why I didn't back perseverance is that, as you said, all of their games are, they take time. They take a lot of uh,
commitment.
yeah, a lot of mental resources to go through them, commitment, etc. So I do have, like, I had Drakirian, I do have an Acrony. And the thing is that I really enjoy Anachrony, but it's like each time I take it out, it's huge. Each time I try to remember the rules, it's huge. It's like owning several of their games is, it should be your lifestyle. I don't know, play goal, something like that. It's like you will not be able. You can have them in collection, but
Mhm.
I want to ask everybody, how many plays do you get if you have like Anachrony and this Perseverance, and then there's like which Witch's Hunt to Salem, something I don't know, and whatever else. Their games are cool, but yeah, I with each new game, like, okay, again, I have to go through all of the learning curve to uh, if you get me. I
Yeah,
don't know how
yeah.
to
It's
explain
it
it. It's just
it's a lot.
the overwhelming feeling that I have. Okay. Anyway, my pick for today is on Kickstarter, and this pick is only because of the designer and my urge to try this game at some point. I really wanted to try this game when I played Merv. When I played Merv, I was like, what else did Fabio Lopiano do?
Hmm.
And I looked at these games like, okay, so one of the first games it did was Kalimala.
Yeah.
Doesn't look good at
No,
all,
no, it
and
doesn't.
still doesn't look good. I mean, the cover I like, okay, but still doesn't look good. It's still like okay, better than the old version, but maybe this is the way I will eventually try this game. Maybe I mean it looks dry, it looks zero, but Fabio Piano. I mean, this game was kind of well received. It's should be a bad game, and this is like it has some expansions things. I just want to try his design. That's it. Nothing else. It doesn't like if I would have not known who's Fabio Lapiano, this would have been in my garbage bin of Kickstarter games because it's just not good looking and it's not a any kind of cool theme or anything like that. It just you know.
Hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably the new version definitely is looking better. I mean,
Yeah, I have the current version and I haven't played it. So probably won't buy the new version.
yeah, look. So this deluxe edition, Kickstarter deluxe edition with expansion and deluxe components and probably definitely thicker things and wooden tokens and etc.
Mhm.
And dual layer boards, great. I love dual layer boards. About $60, which is not much for today's standards. I think $60 is your usual price of a game, even for like not a non-deluxeified versions of games is like at least 60. All of the games right now I'm like 60 plus. I There are some small games that cost less, but I mean like if you get a full game, then I think this is a good cost for this game.
Okay.
So yeah, and yeah, September 2024. So I'm gonna, you know, look forward to it when it comes out, and maybe try it or something like that. It's probably the Essen time. So
Yeah, if it comes out then, right? Who knows? It might take significantly longer.
I think it will because I'm sure they will be aiming for Essen. They probably because I don't think this is really hard to produce. The
Hmm.
game itself is like the art is done. It's mostly just print, and dual layer boards is nowadays it's easy, and some discs or tokens. I don't think it's hard to produce. If that would be a like a Nemesis like game, miniature based things, or Lords of Valhalla, whatever. No, it's like
Hmm.
okay, yeah, this is harder to produce. The sculpts and things and 3D rendering. This one, yeah, I'm sure they're gonna be done by Essen time.
We'll
If
see.
I mean, it could be the end of the world or pandemic or whatever else, but we never know nowadays what can
True.
happen.
True
All
indeed.
right, all right. So this was the amazing um, Kickstarter journey
It
that we
was.
had. So let's get to the next topic, which is buy, try, goodbye.
And so am I doing these again this time?
You're always doing them.
I see. All
I've
right.
never done them. Never. It's just a myth now.
I see.
It's always you.
Very well. All right. So I have three games which I believe you had not tried. At least I searched and did not see that you had talked about them. We'll
Maybe
see.
I sometimes
The
forget,
first one.
but
Again, we're in an IP topic, so I picked three games based upon various various things, and the first one we have to talk about is Cuphead, the fast rolling dice game.
okay.
So, Cuphead, the fast rolling dice game, is well a fast rolling dice game. In this game, you are going to set a timer for a very short timer. It's like 2 minutes at most, and everyone's going to be rolling dice at the same time, and you're going to be trying to assign you have these little action spots at the bottom of your board, and you want to assign the right symbols, the symbols that are kind of on those cards in the middle. Those are the symbols you need to defeat that enemy, or to avoid that enemy's attacks, I guess I'll say. And then you also, in addition to that, want to assign some things that are going to hit the enemy so that you can sort of jump over its attacks and shoot it. And you're going to play through, and it's just a few rounds, and then, based upon how you do, you'll go to the boss's next phase, or you'll lose. There's, it can be a little challenging because, of course, it's a dice game, and I don't actually remember. 2 minutes might be long. Maybe it was 30 seconds. It's been a while, but it was a very, very short time frame that you're just rolling and assigning. And you have these characters from the game, Cuphead and Mugman, and then you have Miss Chalice and Elder Kettle, who are more supporting characters in the game, although I guess Miss Chalice is in the expansion. And you're going to go through. Now, there's not all the bosses in Cuphead, because Cuphead has a lot of them. They've sort of picked a popular set, I guess. So you'll go up against kind of the just a few of them, and they're all a little bit different. The King Dice fight has all the little mini bosses that you would expect from the video game. If you like Cuphead, this might sing to you. If you don't, well, it's a fun little cooperative dice game that can be stressful and has very little time and room for error.
Okay.
The next one we have is a much larger, heavier, more complicated game called Frostpunk. Frostpunk is a very complicated game. It has, you're working together and you're trying to complete some sort of a goal. And the goal is not apparently clear at the beginning. You've normally got to sort of go through and discover what that goal is. And everyone has a different role in this community, but ultimately it's cold and there's not enough food and everybody's getting sick. And you have to try to combat those things. You've got to make sure you have enough fuel to keep everybody warm. You've got to build places for people to sleep, otherwise they'll get sick. You've got to make sure you've got enough to eat. You've got to make sure you're able to use people, because you've got 3 different kinds of workers, and they can all do different things, and some of them are useless children, and they can't do anything. And it's a cold and hard game. I will say I enjoy the game. It's not an easy one to play. There's a lot, more than perseverance level of learning curve to get into this one. Once you do, it can be a worthwhile experience, though.
All right.
And the third game on our list is a game that I know is based on an IP. I talk about it whenever we do these kinds of lists, because it was a situation where it brought me into a new world that I'd never touched before, and that is Dresden Files, the cooperative card game.
Okay.
I'm assuming you've not said, "Oh, I've played this one lots of times." So this is a game. It's a card game. It's actually very good solo. But what you're doing is you are following through the adventures of Harry Dresden, wizard for hire, and going through and fighting magical threats. And you're going to play through there's different chapters, and each one is basically one of the 20 or so books now. And it's kind of nice because the artwork, while not amazing, is kind of gives you a visual for certain moments from the books that are memorable, and you'll be like, aha, I know that. Now, if you have not played or read the books, you'll be like, okay, there's somebody riding a dinosaur. And it says Polka will never die for whatever reason. But it's an interesting game. It can be very challenging. You're trying to sort of manage, looks like someone's upgraded the game, or maybe that's a prototype there. You're trying to manage different kinds of resources, your magic and various others, and sort of trying not to die before the end of the game, and to complete different goals, because each chapter has sort of different ways that you're going to approach things. You have these plus minus dice, which I don't really like. It's not my favorite type of die, but you're going to use them to sort of roll and figure out how things are going to work with your various attempts. And you're using this fate resource, which is kind of like magic, that you're going to use to kind of fuel the different things you're trying to do. You work together, you either win or lose. And whoa, I'm apparently sleepy. And that's how you play.
Look, it's we started like for Kyle it's 6 a.m. when we started, so please bear that in mind. That
I apologize though. I always get sleepy when I'm recording, but yes, it is shortly after, well, a bit after 6 this morning.
so
Anyway,
yeah, still
those are the
very
three
late.
games: Dresden Files, Frostpunk, and Cuphead.
All right, so
So first, have you played any of them before?
No, I'm not. Though for two of them, I like. Okay, let's just talk about that. So the one that it's gonna have a goodbye seal on it is definitely Dresden Files, whatever fast pacing role
The
playing
cooperative card game?
Yeah, something. Yeah. Anyway, the Dresden Files. It's first of all, it's I've seen that it doesn't look good. And I know nothing about Dresden Files, so just doesn't excite me at all. And looking at this game, it kind of it gives me the older design vibe, which I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. Now about the other two, I was curious about Cuphead board game when it came out because I played a bit of the video game, and it's very hard. I mean, you have to. There's those patterns, but I I sometimes struggle with certain patterns in games, like when you fight the boss, it has this particular pattern, but then it changes the pattern midway, the like mid fight, and then changes it again, probably, and you just have to go through the game and through the same boss many times until you learn how to beat that boss.
Many times.
And that's where I'm like, okay, I don't have enough patience for that. So it's like, okay, I don't know how much Cuphead, the board game, the dice game, would be annoying in that way. So yeah, but as you said, it's it's just rolling the dice, matching the symbols. It sounds like quite a few games I played. Also, Escape the Curse of the Temple is also like fast rolling, match the symbols on the dice, which I enjoyed. It kind of remind me of that. So Cuphead sounds interesting. I want to try it. Now, the Frostpunk. Recently I talked about it. I have never played it. Why didn't I buy it? So because I've never played
because it's expensive.
Frostpunk. It's expensive as well. Yeah. Why didn't I buy the Frostpunk? Because I've never tried video game, though. I'm to be honest, I really want to, but this like it's harsh. It's strategic. It's like in video games sometimes I want to escape and just go on adventure. Like I love like myself some Witcher games. It's like because it's an adventure, it's a story. But now Frostpunk and everything like that, it's a survival strategy game, and I'm not sure if I want to dive into that. As a video game, yes, expensive. Second, it started to be more of a solo game than a cooperative game. And most people say it's like just play it solo. And the third thing is that, yeah, as you said, it seems to be so complicated that I need to invest a lot of time into this game. And if I cannot, and I'm not willing to commit myself to one particular game, especially solo, to play it. So yeah, that's why I didn't buy or even try the game because yeah, I know too complicated solo, etc. So
very well.
I think based on that, because you made it difficult this time. The Dresden Files was easy, garbage. Bye. gone.
so
Uh,
garbage. I enjoy that game.
uh, for that purpose, for the purpose of this list.
I see. Okay.
So I think Cuphead is something I would buy because it's less of a risk. It's easier. It has this familiar trope of escape the curse of the temple kind of thing, rolling dice fast, which I enjoyed previously. So it's a cooperative game. It's a multiplayer game. Dice, etc., and familiar faces like those Cuphead things. And I played the video game, so it has the most. I have the most connection to it, so it's a buy.
Okay.
And Frostpunk, because of its complications, solo, more of a solo-oriented experience, most likely,
Mm-hmm.
and so on. It's a try.
Okay.
Even like I think even if I will try Frostpunk and I will love it, let's say we play a two-player game of that. And it's
Mm-hmm.
probably as a two-player game, it's probably also quite fine because I do enjoy most of the games which have this kind of a one or two players.
Mm-hmm.
All of those games I like to play two players as well.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it always fine with me. But even if I will try it and love it, I don't think I will buy it. Like literally outside of this segment context.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. 3
Woohoo!
IP based games to buy, try, or say goodbye to. Poor Dresden Files.
No, I'm kidding. Anyway, let's get to the topic of the day, which
Okay.
is top 5 IP games, and not games that have IP addresses or apps or whatever. It's like
Mm-hmm.
intellectual property games.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the list. At first, I thought I've not played many of them, but then I was like, oh, but this is an IP game actually. Oh, and this is an IP game actually. I'm like, okay, so I could go on and on. It's not like I played many good ones or like many
Oh.
amazing ones, but the ones I came up with, I have a bigger list, but the ones I came up with are all good games or good or very good games.
Oh, I'm glad they're on. I'm glad you put good games on your list. Uh,
Yeah, so
not
but
garbage.
this could be IP from the books, from the movies, from uh, the video games,
Mm-hmm.
any kind of IP. So
Sure. Yeah, I made sure for these that it was something concrete and identifiable. Now, you might not have done the same, but for example, a game that just happens to have Cthulhu in it isn't going to be on this list for me. Um,
oh, I got it.
just not sort of those larger public domain items. You might have not followed that stricture, but that's one that I imposed upon myself. Something that I can exactly point to and say, this is what it is.
Okay, because there are some games that I really enjoy. I loved it at some point. I haven't played them in a while that are not on my list here on my top 5
Okay.
for the reason that maybe I talked about them too much. So like I'm shuffling a little bit. I'm like
Okay.
trying to get something new to talk about as well. But yeah, there are several games which IP based would be high on my list, but gameplay wise,
Mm.
I don't know.
Okay.
I tried to balance it out. Like the IP comes through versus the gameplay itself is also great, and I like it. Yeah,
Okay.
let's get to number 5.
All right. Let's go. All right. Now, in the case of two of the games on my list, these are things where I knew the game first, and then eventually discovered or will discover the IP it's based on through that experience. And the first one I have is Deep Rock Galactic. So I don't know
Okay.
how well the IP comes through here, but I know now
Hmm.
based on a video game, which I've purchased and it says will ship to me next week. Uh,
The video game you
yes.
ship? Ah, you. Okay, you got the PlayStation version, something like that.
Yeah. Hmm.
Oh yeah, it has it. Yeah, sure.
So it's
Yeah,
just come out on PlayStation 5, or it just
yeah.
is coming out. So I've not played the game. I know nothing about the video game. but I've played this board game quite a few times. It's almost what I would call a cooperative light dungeon crawl, but without many of your traditional elements. Instead of dragons and monsters, you're fighting various large bugs. You're digging around. You're trying to go through it cooperatively to solve some sort of an objective and make it home before you die. The
Yeah.
rules are very simple. Combat is roll a bunch of dice and check a resistance table. There's a couple of quality of life improvements I would like a little bit. For example, I don't love that all the monsters are on this large board on both sides of it, so you're constantly flipping it over to see what they do.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't have minded a player aid, but it sounds like both of those are coming with the new versions from the Kickstarter. So
The
that will
biome
solve that problem.
expansion and the space rig expansion. Yeah, they are. This is like when
Coming
I
out.
looked at those expansion, like, hmm, this is something they should have done from the start. Now they
Well,
have the player aids for players, the monster aids, small monster aids for monsters, and like, where have you been before that?
Well, I mean, fortunately, I've been able to play it without those two, but they will improve my experience with the game, I'm sure, because this is one that tends to come out a lot because it's relatively fast to play and it's pretty light on rules. There's a couple of weird things, but not much, and lots of it can just kind of be learn as you go, other than
Yeah,
understanding what you do on your turn. And we'll encounter, the large oppressor monster that comes out if it comes out.
true.
Also, it helps that my version is nicely painted.
Yeah, you got this fancy version. You have you
I,
have this fancy person.
yeah, I was gonna say I did not buy it painted. My friend painted it for me, which was very kind of him, and it looks much better now.
My cruise wife.
Your cruise wife, yes, exactly.
Okay. Anyway, um, my number five, and as you said, you didn't want to put anything that is not tightly or like what did you say? It's like you didn't want to put a game that has an overall IP. It's not like related to a certain particular episode or story or whatever.
Right.
Okay, so
I want
but my
something
number,
that's concretely identifiable.
yeah, but I think this game is, and
Uh-oh.
it has the story elements from. I mean, like it probably I don't know if it's made up, but it is Lovecraftian and it is IP. They took the Lovecraftian uh, universe and they've done well with it, I think. And it's Arkham Horror, the card game,
Okay.
and this is the one I think is one of the stronger ones. It's not like I would say Cthulhu Death May Die. I think something like that. Even Arkham Horror, this was the third or second edition. I think the second edition that I played. I've never played the third edition. I thought about Arkham Horror, the second edition, but this one kind of represents the same thing for me.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Okay.
I feel like the card game does evoke the theme a lot. I feel like this is the better version of the Arkham Horror second edition that I played, and there I could totally feel. So the original Arkham Horror board game made me um, made me read Lovecraftian stories,
I
and then
mean,
I
it did
felt
it for
even.
me too, unfortunately.
Yeah, so but that's where I felt there is even more connection. So that's why I feel like this is a strong IP game,
Okay.
my opinion. Though, yeah, public domain thing. So whatever, it's one of the. Yeah, I don't play many
It's not
very
mine. So,
specific IPs. Yeah.
mhm.
Anyway, this game is all about you have your deck of cards. You can play solo or a two-player game, and I enjoyed solo and a two-player game, and a two-player game even more because it's more complicated. Because when you play solo, you have kind of a little bit more control. It's like you're doing all decisions yourself. When you play a two-player, you play cooperatively, yes, but it's like two different people thinking differently. And your usual stuff. You have the character, you have the sanity and the health and things, and you go through the different cards, and those are like scenario-based things. And you investigate, you find the clues, so you can go on to a further card. eventually you want to win the scenario, and then you get some experience points, and then you can, kind of buy new cards into your deck or something like that. And it's just I think it's a well done card game with all those skill checks as well, like those tokens. Instead of just just rolling the dice, you have those modifier tokens, etc., which I do enjoy more than just dice. Yeah,
Okay.
it's I think it's a really good game. This I don't have this game in my collection anymore. I sold the game, but for the reason that, yet again, this is something you just have to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I play.
Yes.
I mean, I played it like probably like 7 or 8 times total,
Okay.
which is enough for me to make an opinion on this game. But yeah, if I wanted to play 2 player, but then it should have been a certain person because it's a campaign based game, and I have problems with campaign based games. Like,
Mm,
I do have several of them, and I cannot get them to the table because that person is not available anymore. So do I start over? Or do I continue with another person? But then another person doesn't want to play this game, or they want to start from the start. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm starting to hate campaign games. So
understood.
kinda. I like this more of scenario based. Like this one kind of feels almost like a scenario based. You don't have to go through the campaign, if I remember correctly. But anyway, yeah,
I mean, you can play a scenario, but it's not good, right? The way to play it is because you're supposed
yeah,
to do character progression and things like that,
yeah.
and that really only happens in the campaign. So yeah, technically you could play one, but you might find yourself over or underpowered, which could make the experience less enjoyable.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. All right. Let's get to number 4.
Hmm. All right, my number four. My number four is a game that if I had not already read the books 2 or 3 times before I played it, it would have made me read the books. So I was really excited for this IP when the game came out, and that is the Reckoners.
Mm-hmm.
So the Reckoners is based upon a series of 3 books by Brandon Sanderson. The first one is called Steelheart, and Steelheart is the story of the first game. The other 2 books in the series come in the expansion. And you take a team of heroes against a team of superpowered individuals. Mostly, your goal is to take down Steelheart, who is a nearly invincible person, and you've got to discover what his weakness is, and then take him out. And you don't have to discover the same weakness each time. It's not like it's an investigation game, but you've got to sort of there's a mechanism where you'll do research and sort of take down this barrier, and then when it gets to 0, you're able to start doing damage to him. You've also got other superpowered individuals to deal with around the town. It's a dice rolling game, and so you're going to roll your dice and choose some to keep, roll die, choose some to keep, and then roll a third time if you still have some, and then you're using those dice cooperatively. There's not really turns in this one. It's just like, okay, you want to do this, well, you need to go there, and there's a lot of stuff to manage, and it will fall apart very quickly if you let it. But it can be very satisfying when it does not. Um, you're going to gradually get more things, get some special equipment and upgrades as you go along, which is great because that makes it so that it's easier to defeat people. And then you get rewards for defeating the various minions. If you don't defeat them, though, then they contribute their power to Steelheart and make him sort of progress his end game conditions. Lots of ways to lose, one way to win, good cooperation, and it does a nice job of kind of bringing the story of the first novel together. And I will say the expansion does a decent job at bringing the story of the second and the third novels in. So a great implementation, definitely not a throwaway IP here, and a good way to experience a pretty enjoyable book series as well.
Okay, got it. Not played it.
Oh, okay. I
Um,
know where you can.
yeah, sure. My number 4 is, yet again, I approach this list differently because, as I said, you probably played 1,000 more IP based games than me.
Not
Because
1,000, but
um, I I avoid them somewhat. By the way, one thing I forgot about Frostpunk, where I talked about it recently. It's the same theme, IP games, because there will be a new board game from the same publisher called Diablo board game. So, and there will be a role playing game and the board game for Diablo, which the video game I really enjoy. The third one, I think, I enjoy. The fourth one I played only a little bit. Anyway, yeah. So there are quite a few cool games coming out. Anyway, but this one is based on also a public domain IP, and I wouldn't say it has a lot of theme, but this is the game
great.
I enjoy. So as I told you, it's either the strong IP or the game I really enjoy.
Okay.
And how not to mention at least one of my usual to mention games.
Oh,
Oh no, what is it?
it's not. It's not the Grim Masquerade, is it?
Wait a minute. It is.
Oh, okay. Very well. It's your list.
It
I'm
is.
glad
Look,
you did say you were going to talk about games you don't talk about very often. So I'm glad you
yes,
picked this one.
that's why I'm telling you right away. There's no Harry Potter Hogwarts battle on it.
Oh, good.
But it's IP based. I mean, like, no. It's anyway. So yeah, I just why I put this one on the list. I on Friday I visited one of my friends, and so we got this get together, and so we see each other like once or twice a year or something like that. But then they know I play board games, and they like, okay, so bring a board game or two. And this is, I usually try to bring not too complicated board games. And so the Green Masquerade is something they enjoy. And this one is uh you are yeah, this is Masquerade, this is the ball, and you're dancing and you're trying to unmask other players, and you have those artifacts which are boon and bane for certain characters. Like, for example, the wolf likes to collect the disguise artifacts and really hates the kettle or whatever, the cauldron artifacts. If you get good ones, you win the round. If you get bad ones, you lose the round. But then you're trying to unmask other players, get the roses, get to a certain amount of roses, you win the game. There is a lot of like there is that deduction element in it. I really enjoy it. The kind of the IP comes through, like, first of all, the banes and the boons of the characters. Like, the wolf hates cauldron, and uh the sleeping beauty hates the spindle, whatever. Not hates, but doesn't want to collect spindle. So there is that theme in it. It brings a little bit of theme in it. I mean, like, it has ties to their fairy tales, and the art is amazing. I think this game looks great, very cartoonish, very Disney like, and I just really enjoy this game. It's something I can bring out. I can just play. Just explain the rules briefly and just start playing, and everybody's in it. That's it. Just draw two cards. Keep one card away. Keep one card, whatever. And if you want to do the actions, like, sometimes, like, they forget about them. Like, you have two identical cards. Do you want to discard them to do the action? Sure. What are the actions? Let me tell you briefly. Boom. Okay. Well, I'll try the point the finger action. Whatever. It just works.
I pointed
Anyway.
a finger. Okay. Yeah, that's you definitely lie. So I enjoy the game, and you clearly do as well. So there you go. I don't know that I would have put it on this list, but
is it IP based? Is it IP game? It is.
Very loosely.
It's an IP game.
Fair enough.
It's not a made-up world. It's a grim
I mean, it is.
fairy tale.
It is a made-up world, but most of these are very, very much made-up worlds. In fact, all of mine will be.
Anyway, let's get to number 3. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better.
Okay.
I promise.
Alrighty. My number 3 is the second experience of a board game introducing me to a video game. And this has introduced me to what is very, very much, very likely still, if I were to do another list, my number 1 video game of all time, and that is Bloodborne.
That's what I thought.
And this a very specific IP here. Bloodborne.
The card game, yeah.
No, not the card game. The card game is okay, but Bloodborne, the board game, is fantastic. It's a cooperative game. Again, so far all of them have been, but my last 2 will not be. Odd. And what you're doing is you're going to pick a chapter, which is going to be sort of one of the different pieces of Bloodborne. Bloodborne kind of comes in a couple of different. It's not sagas or anything, but like there's this area, and there's things you do in that area. So in the first area of the game, of the video game, you're kind of going to be preparing to fight one of 2 bosses. There's the Cleric Beast and Father Gascoigne. And so the stories that are in kind of the first area are likely going to be dealing with those 2 characters. But how you're going to get there and what sort of the goal of the chapter is will depend based upon which chapter you have. And it has this sort of branching paths, like, you go to here and you help this. The example that was used in the demo is there's somebody who's sick, and do you slaughter her, or do you show her where a safe space is? And depending on which you do, well, that will send you down a path. And so maybe later on, everybody at the safe place is sick now, or maybe they're not, right? So based on the different choices you make. Now, that's not actually one in the game. That was just sort of an example. You're fighting monsters. It's an interesting system because the monsters have very predictable patterns, kind of like the video game. And so you'll see, they can attack in these 3 ways, and there's 5 attack cards. It's a very small deck, and you'll shuffle it up and draw one. And so you kind of can see what the monsters are likely to be able to do, and kind of plan your own abilities and your own reactions based upon that. So it has a sort of that aspect of the game. Eventually, you're going to have to enter the Hunter's Dream, which is where you can level up, swap cards out of your deck to sort of make a deck that does better at combat, or better at defense, or better at other things. You're playing through the story. The story is not super strong, but it's definitely there. It's probably even more there than in the video game. And you win or lose. And you're going to play normally 3. There's sort of mini campaigns of 3 linked scenarios. Honestly, that part you could do without, but or even you could play all 3, but it says if you die, you're supposed to restart at the beginning of the first one. That's not happening. If I'm playing 2 sets in, I'm going to be playing the 3rd game, win or lose in the first one. But either way, I really enjoy this game. It's what introduced me to sort of that whole Dark Souls type of game anyway. I bought them and played them because of this video game, and I've enjoyed them well. So there's that. The IP is definitely strong. It's definitely tied to this. I couldn't see this being something else, and it's pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, sure. That's fine.
Hey, it's something I can point to.
True. All right. So, look, my number 3. A few moments ago, I told you it's gonna get better. And yes.
Yeah,
let me explain myself.
This is a bluffing game we're playing.
Look.
It's not Stockpile, is it?
No, because it has Donald Trump in it. No, I'm kidding.
Based on the stock market.
Anyway, yeah. It's an IP. No, this is based on also another. This is based on a book, but it's not like this particular scenario. Let's say happened in the book, but the characters, etc. They're all part of this interesting twisted story of a girl who is actually, as I remember, the story behind the story is like the girl is actually mad or something like that. She's not well. She's imagining things. It's
Uh-huh.
based on a story of Alice in Wonderland,
Mm-hmm.
and it's Wonderland's war.
I see.
Look, it's an IP. There's the evil queen thing, the card queen, whatever, and the Alice and etc. So anyway, um, let's talk about the game.
Okay.
This is a really good game. Yeah, the Queen of Hearts. Yeah. So this game is about area control, and as I said, there's like war going on in there. Yeah. But anyway, you this game, everybody plays their own uh, player board, their own unique character that has unique. I will call them technologies, which basically powers that you
Mm-hmm.
unlock. And the first phase is all about you are going around this. It's like a tea party phase. You're going around the table, collecting cards. You know, strengthening. I don't want to say this
Mm-hmm.
word. Making yourself stronger. I cannot say this word.
Sure.
Um,
That's all,
make
folks.
yourself. Yeah, and you know the collecting stuff, etc. Preparing for war. And then the second phase is the war. So you are looking then at the different locations, and then you resolve those locations by battling with the bag of chits. And this is the
Take that bag.
yeah this is kind of a like a bag building game as well. And I do you gave me this regular version of this game where it doesn't have those poker chips, but still doesn't matter. I can buy them separately anyway. But yeah, you're pulling out those chits, and they have different strengths, etc. They might have some powers. You are building your bag eventually as well. You can have some monsters as well, not monsters, like creatures or something like that that you can get on your side. uh, yeah, it's just a very interesting area control game, which I'm not a fan of area control, but in this one, the first kind of preparing for that battle is really interesting. How you go around the table, like rondel type of thing. And then the battles themselves, where instead of just, like straightforward, just I'm gonna kill you, it's more of a, pulling the chits out of the bag and, comparing the strength and blah 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 blah. Special powers. It's so much fun. This is the right area control game for me. This has enough Euro mechanisms. This is a perfect hybrid of a area
Mm-hmm.
control game, it seems. And it has this theme. It has the tea party. And it's IP
Okay.
based. You cannot say anything bad about it. It's an IP game.
Eh, so I don't need to. You already know. I don't have to say anything.
What? It's an IP game. I don't
Okay.
care.
It's your list.
It's my list. Because, yeah, you choose some Bloodborne. Yeah. Who cares
Okay.
about that? Wonderland's War. That's what you care about.
Okay. Very good.
Okay, I'm kidding. Anyway, let's get to okay, really now. From now on, it's gonna get amazing.
If stockpile shows up, you're in trouble.
Look, I'm gonna say up front that my number two might not be related very closely to IP, but close enough. Let's say that.
I guess let's go forward and see what it is.
All right.
All right. My number 2. This is a
Harry Potter
game I
game.
have been very enamored with. No, the problem with that Harry Potter game is I don't like it. Uh,
And it,
but
like the theme oozes out of it. I'm like,
I
oof.
will say that would have been a better choice for this list than the last two.
No.
But this game for me is a game that was the IP of my childhood. This was, I mean, 80s kids are just
Where?
sort of going to remember this. And this game is Masters of the Universe Clash for Eternia.
Uh,
Um, this
it's the
one
fifth
takes
time.
the fifth time.
Like, you mentioned this game every
I
possible
do
time.
mention it quite. Didn't you just finish talking about Wonderland's War and Grim
This
Masquerade?
Wonderland's War is the one I mentioned for the first time.
Okay.
Second time, sorry.
And Grim Masquerade?
Maybe 10th time, but we're not talking about that. Anyway.
All right. So this game, though, I mean, look, it's made for this list, right? This was a game that I bought specifically because I was a huge He-Man fan as a child, and I still find a lot of joy in those old cartoons. I had all the toys as a child. I don't have them all anymore, um, but then that's okay too. But sort of this was the defining thing of 80s kids, little boys in the 80s. This was what you played with, was He-Man. And this is the game that if I had had this as a teenager, I would have gotten into games so much earlier, because it just takes everything I want from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe and puts it in a game. It's a quick combat skirmish game. I mean, look, there's scenarios that you're playing, so maybe the scenario is you get point, you're trying to do this, but really what you're doing is you're going to take your characters, you're going to go up and beat down on the opponent's characters. And the best thing about this is all the characters are there. Well, not all, right? I mean, maybe. So there you see the two versions and the minis game. And I have strong opinions about which one of those is best. But this is Clash for Eternia, the one on the bottom right. And there you go. But yeah, all of the characters that you remember as a child are in the game, with the exception of maybe 2 that I had the figures and I'm like, why aren't they here? But that's okay. There's enough to play with. And you can make team. You're not sort of like constrained to play only the highlight characters. It doesn't have to be just Skeletor and Evelyn against He-Man and Teela. I mean, you have that option if you want them, but you could choose somebody else. You could choose the Snakemen. You could choose the Horde. You can choose the Great Rebellion. There's all of the different factions of the game, mix and match. Play. Rules are so simple. It's just, run up, do the thing you want to do. You can do it in this game. It brings sort of those stories, which, to be fair, aren't the best stories from the cartoons. They were basically just excuses to sell you toys. But it brings those to life in a way that just delights me to no end. I'll probably end up playing it today because my brother's visiting me, and this is the kind of thing I think he'll get a kick out of as well. But I really love this game. This is one where I loved the IP first, and the game then followed, and I'm so happy it did it so well.
All right. Sure.
I'll try not to put it on a list for a while, as long as we don't have a list that's appropriate. The last time I mentioned it was on my top 20 games list,
Okay.
so it
Next time
belongs there.
Yeah. Next time we're going to talk about top 5 games with superheroes. And no, a childhood heroes.
Yes, exactly. We'll see.
Oh,
Childhood games with things we loved from our childhood.
And then after that, we're going to talk about the games where the hero's name starts with he.
All right.
Anyway.
I think that'll be a very short list.
Yes. He-Man, the Battleground. He-Man, the Clash of Eternia. The Fields of Eternia, whatever. Okay. No, anyway. My number 2 is... Look, this game is not... it's not completely based on the the events of that IP that occur in a video game, in a book. I don't know. I haven't read the book, or in a Netflix series.
Uh-oh.
But this is something. Look, I got like, so first I loved the video game.
Okay.
Then then the series came out, and I watched the series, and then I got this board game. But I got the board game because of the whole IP, the whole universe, the whole, because I love video game, and the board game made me come back to the video game to play it again. So I'm now playing it again, but with the expansions, etc. So I'm trying to do the every quest possible, like every side quest, whatever thing possible to just experience the most of it, because I just love it. It's probably one of my top 3 video games ever, and I just love it. And this is Witcher Old
Okay.
World. And the same company now had the campaign for on GameFound for The Witcher, but I don't remember the name, but it has the original characters, the
Paths of
Geralt,
Destiny or something. Yeah.
Dandelion, Geralt, Yennefer, whatever. It has all of these, Vesemir. So the problem with this IP, this game is IP based. So this is Witcher. This is Witcher World. Yeah, you can just take the books and you can just create the world of Witcher. It has those resemblances. The map has the different schools. You have your I remember this meditation. There's different monsters. There's the same, like, it has a lot of Witcher in it, and the regions in Skellige, like if you get the expansion, and the legendary monsters, etc. So it has a lot of Witcher things going on. But this is the Witcher Old World, so this is before Geralt, before the main series, let's say. But still a strong IP. Still, I could still feel the Witcher vibe in it. Not just
Okay.
but it's not a certain character or certain particular scenario, whatever, a certain book. But this game is all about, you move around the board and you train yourself, your
Mhm.
skills. So you raise the different tokens, the skills, in order to fight the different monsters. There's not many pictures I want to show. Anyway, whatever. Maybe.
Mhm.
Anyway, fight different monsters, and you fight them through the cards. And this has a cool, I call it a combo fighter type of card combat, because you play a card and then the card has a link, and if you link the next card to this previous card, then it does some extra, and you can play a
Yep.
combo of cards linking them together, which is a cool thing. And this game has quite a few rules, but it's a rather streamlined game. It's not hard to. I mean, it's complicated in one sense, but once you go through that, you start playing, it's actually quite easy to understand. Just,
Mhm.
you go to the location and it's like, draw the potion, go to that location, pay 3 money, raise your skill. The actions themselves are very easy to understand. The monsters to kill, just make the combinations of cards. You get some shields back. You just kill the monster. It's the same, like as I said, with combo fighter. You fight the deck against the deck, and your deck is your life pool, and it's so easy to understand the combat. Everything is easy to understand here,
Yep.
and I feel like, and there's those story elements as well, where you, like, instead of fighting or meditating, you can explore, and when you explore, you just take out the card, and somebody reads the card for you, and the options, like, so you stumble upon this and this and that, and then option A, option B, and then you go on from there and get the reward or something like that. This is like a small story element that you get into this game. As I said, this is not a thematically strongest Witcher game. Probably that next one will be a stronger Witcher game, as it is, like, connecting people to those popular characters. But this is like playing The Witcher with unpopular characters or characters you don't know. You know, it's like, look, it's just the Witcher universe can be expanded, and
Yeah.
I think this is enough IP to have Witcher,
Oh,
and
definitely.
it made me go back to Witcher 3, which is one of my most favorite games of all time. Witcher 3, I would definitely like. I would recommend it to Kyle, but if Kyle starts playing Witcher 3, that's all he's gonna play because oh my god, this is such a huge universe. It has so much going on. The story I just recently like I played it like a few days ago recently, and I had the moments where I cried. It's like
Oh,
brings me not yeah. There are some moments where like
because it was
I don't
so
want to.
good or so bad.
Yes, yeah, so bad I had to chop the onions. Anyway, no, it's just the those moments. First of all, when I played through Witcher for the first time, I got the bad ending. And I was
Mm,
very sad and very frustrated because I was so. It's not like invested in the game. I was so invested in the story that getting bad ending was like it felt personal,
mm,
and so I didn't play it for many years. Now, like I don't know, I think it came out in 2019, 2018. Now I came back to it, you know, just kind of a refresh after the board game, and still and now I cry for because of some other moments because I know the one of the endings, you know, I know the ending, but it still I played so many side quests and things which have so many story elements that I'm like, ooh, this it's like half of the game I play for the first time. It's just such so many things going on there that I don't know. It's so many emotions.
yeah.
Yeah, it's. I'm
Yeah.
thankful to Witcher Old World that it kind of brought me back to video game, and now I'm just,
And
you know,
yeah, I can see that one because this makes me want to sort of investigate the world, watch the show or read the books or play the video games. I haven't done so yet, but I could see myself doing so because of this, much like I kind of did with Deep Rock and Bloodborne.
the show is the most fragile because in the show they try to do a third option, you know, like this is the game they just did the Witcher World, and the thing it works. Now the video game is the video game. I think they deviate from the books, but they still do a lot of you know the book based stuff.
Hmm.
The Netflix series they ventured into like they 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 change a lot. It seems
We'll
because
see.
like it's
I'll pick one of the three.
just go with the video game and the Witcher
Mm,
3. You can play Witcher 2, but it's quite
I
old
see.
of a game. Witcher 3 it will be enough for you, trust me. To
Well, we'll see.
there's some story elements that you might be want to catch up yourself to, but maybe you can just read about that. But I know the brief description, plot summary, something like that. But yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry, a lot of babble, but it
Hmm.
just for
Well,
me
there we go.
it's
Well, finally, welcome to the list. Uh, all right. Let's you're gonna get a content rating if you do that. Um
no, it was that one.
I see. Okay, there we go.
No,
Are we ready for number one?
yeah, yeah, and our videos are marked as not suitable for children anyway
Okay, well good.
because of some of the jokes.
'Cause they're pretty
Yeah.
bad. All
Mhm.
right. Let's go. I'm glad I can make adult videos on the internet with you. Uh
Uh, wait! Don't take it out of context. No, 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 no.
All right, my number one. This won't be much of a surprise. It's actually an IP I do not like, but I enjoy this game and I enjoy the way that it implements that IP, and it makes me want to like that IP all the more, even though I really don't. And that is Dune Imperium.
Hmm. All right.
Yeah, I find the Dune books to be tedious and overambitious. I've read through them 3 times, so I've really tried here. Um, and I mean, I really want to enjoy them, but I don't. This game, however, gives me what I want, which is sort of this interesting interplay between trying to take over areas and control resources, and also interfere and mess with other people, and have secret plots and plans. It has characters from the books and movies. The problem, I guess, one of the problems with the series is that it doesn't have strong characters. It has just a few strong characters, and everyone else is very peripheral, at least in the books. And so, that makes it difficult to have uh, people to identify with on any side you want to take. And so that might be part of why I don't like the books. But in this one, you can pick up these mostly minor characters and play with them, and do the things that you want to do, and quote lines from the old 1980s, I guess, movie if you really want to. But it's a great combination of deck building, and you've got some worker placement plus some conflict. It can be really tense. At 3 players, this game, that's the best number for this players. It's very tense and very tight, and the rules in the game are not hard, which is nice because it kind of steps out of its own way. There are 2 expansions, which are both very good. There's the new version, which I haven't decided if I'm buying yet because I already have the current version. I don't know that very much has changed, but we all know where this is going. Uh, I really enjoy Dune Imperium just as a game, but I also enjoy the version of the IP that it presents, which is one that I'm able to enjoy and makes me wish I liked the real stuff more.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I've not played this one. I just don't have any. Um, I don't think I'm interested in this kind of universe, and
Oh,
I don't think this game is gonna be thematic enough for me.
oh, it very
It
much
looks
is
like,
thematic, but
is it?
oh yeah, yeah. This game's actually pretty good on a whole lot of points.
Okay, got it.
You might enjoy this game. It is, of course, a race to points, which is your favorite mechanism.
Yes, in another universe. All right.
Another Duneverse?
Do- that's why it's adult content.
I
Anyway,
see. I
the jokes are too
don't know that
dirty.
that was an adult joke.
Yeah, it was a dull joke. Oh, got it.
There we go. Good job.
Yeah, yeah, I know. My number one is something you will agree on because it was on your list.
Oh, okay.
A crossover.
Haha.
I told you, last 2 will be fine. At
Well,
least,
the only one on my list that you've played is Deep Rock.
and it is also galactic.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Is this one? So, but I played the video game before I played the board game. That's why I got the board game. And I tell you, yes, it is. It brings video game into the board game. I would say as much as possible, in my opinion. There is a lot resemblance. Of course, it's like so as it then the expansion will add some campaign mode where you can upgrade yourself, and that's one of the main things in video game. You are able to, you go through the missions. You collect stuff, you mine, you fight off the hordes or swarms of monsters and enemies, etc. And there's those swarm threat, and some events happening as well. So that's all in there, and the ammo is limited, so you have to restock. For that, you need to spend nitro, etc. So there's a lot of things going on in the board game that's the same as in video game, but of course, video games is still different, and there are some things that you could just cannot put in the board game. One of the main things is progression. So in the board game, you can just take a rifle, and it's just a thing you have. In a video game, you start very basic, and you can upgrade your weapons, and then you can do the contracts, like do the missions for a contract to get a new weapon blueprint basically to get a new weapon, different weapon from your main weapon, and then you can basically you upgrade your equipment.
Okay.
This is
You
one of
do.
the coolest things, and this in here you don't really do that. This like overclocking is
You
a
upgrade your
different.
equipment.
Yeah. This is the only thing that, but I understand why, because it's a complicated system. I don't know how they would
Well, you
implement
also have
that
those
into
upgrade
board game.
tokens that you can put on there, so you shoot different types of bullets. And
Yes, this is something that I can relate to, or the game can relate to. Anyway, Deep Rock Galactic, but it's still, as I said, you cannot put a full video game into board game just like that and then it works. No, it still must be a board game. It has to function as a board game. So this one functions really well, cooperative game. I really enjoyed it so far. I want to explore more. There's several scenarios. I did not back the expansions because at the point it was in Kickstarter, I didn't play it yet. So now I'm eager to back the expansions, but they're gonna come out in a year. So maybe I'll just buy them when they come out. I don't care about like I think I got the deluxe edition uh in the shop on retail. So I think I will be able to find those deluxeified expansion editions. They're gonna cost more at that point probably because
of
the
course.
Kickstarter. But I don't care about that. So I probably maybe I buy just one of the two expansions. I don't know. Anyway, right now I think I have enough game and I don't want to invest another 200 euros to wait a year to. Maybe in a year I will hate the game. I don't know. It's just
Oh,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
that's
Anyway, yeah,
extreme.
it has a lot of resemblance to video game and fighting up the swarms and mining. Yeah, there's some things that are mechanical because it's still a board game, but yeah, really cool stuff with the weapons. By the way, the frost, the fire element things, they're still
Hmm.
they're all in the video
They're
game and
all
the
in there.
pickaxe. Yeah, so a
Okay,
good game.
it is. I do not disagree with this one.
Finally. All right, here we are. We're done.
We are.
We've done it all. We laughed. We cried. We told some bad jokes.
We made an adult video together.
I might have flipped the bird at
You
some
might have.
point. Uh, and then I might have committed myself to buy Cuphead board game and
You
trash
definitely
the
did.
Dresden Files. Yeah.
Or Dresden
Anyway,
Files.
yeah. And then I'm gonna go watch some Alan Wake 2 playthrough because I'm scared to play the video game myself.
I'm very sorry to hear that. I'm
I
probably just going
know.
to get dressed and go to church.
Yeah, I'm gonna go watch Alan Wake, and you need to wake up.
I definitely do. I'm going to have a struggle at church, but that's okay. At least it'll be exciting, and there's no way I could ever fall
I'm
asleep.
super monkey. It's an energy
Having a
drink.
super monkey. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
Right. Well, there we go. I
yeah,
guess we'll be back in a couple of weeks. I'm going to Malta, so I think it might be at least 3.
we'll see. Maybe we'll do something next week.
While I'm in Malta?
Hence, oh, you're in Malta next week?
I'm leaving next weekend.
Okay, got it. Okay, we'll
So,
see. We'll see. We'll figure
yeah,
something out,
we will.
and we'll get back to it. We still have
Sounds
Wednesday
good.
Whimsy for
We
Kyle.
do. We definitely have Wednesday Whimsy. We're talking about Nucleum this week.
Either pre-recorded or live. We'll see.
This week will be a live one, and the next one may be pre-recorded because I'll be out of town.
Anyway, watch out! Watch out! I want to say watch out for those.
Watch out!
Those
Drive
episodes.
safely.
Yeah, because
West Beach is a
Nucleum has a
one-way.
lot of nuclear power coming away. Thank you for watching, and we see you another time.
Sounds good. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. And my picks were great.
Awful. Two of them were okay.
Okay, kidding.